All right, the next section of my project is the perception part of organizational behavior. And I have my little brother in on this video. He has seen the movie Sing. How do you feel about the movie?
Really good.
You like the movie?
Yeah. And it makes me feel happy.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That's good. All right. So when looking at the perception in Sing, several types of perceptual processes show up, including stereotyping, the halo and horn effect, attribution errors, selective perception, projection, contrast effects, first impression errors, self-fulfilling prophecies, and more. These are all concepts that are explored in the Griffin and Phillips textbook on organizational behavior. Different characters are perceived in different ways based on those biases. So, do you remember Mike the Mouse?
Yeah.
What do you think he thinks the money means for him? What, winning the big prize? What does he want to do with that?
He can get rich.
Yeah, he's all about, he perceives these winnings as a life of luxury. He wants to live fancy, like just rich, huh? And then we look at a character like Johnny. He's the sweet gorilla. He thinks the money is a good way to escape the crime-filled life that is currently what looks like is ahead for him because of his family. Another character is Rosita. Rosita is the mom with all those kids. You think that's crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Is it crazy with our mom with all of her kids?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So if she wins the money, she kind of sees this as a way to live a more comfortable and smooth lifestyle. Well, that's not necessarily the reason that she's competing, and it's not her driving factor like it is for Mike. It is still going to be something that's going to make it helpful. And do you think that money would make it easier for her to manage all her kids?
A little.
Yeah. It would be a little bit nicer, huh? And then there's Ash. Do you remember Ash the porcupine?
Yeah.
Ash the porcupine is perceived as someone who will use the competition to advance her career as a rock star. So she's similar to Rosita in the fact that her primary driving purpose of competing is not necessarily to win the money, but she perceives winning as an advance to her career as a rock star. To dive a little bit more in, contrast effect also appears when performers compare themselves to each other, which influences how they judge their own abilities. A first impression error is when it's shown when like Mina's initial shyness misleads everybody about who she is and what she's capable of. Little dude, what do you think about when Buster was meeting Mina? What did he think about her?
He probably felt like she could maybe do it, not like fully complete it.
So he was lacking confidence in her?
Mm-hmm.
Is that why you think she ended up doing stage management to begin with instead of singing?
Mm-hmm.
And then when Buster finally heard Mina singing, you think that the way he saw her changed a little bit because he had gained confidence, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think that when Buster seen Mina's true abilities to sing, that he thought that Mina really had some potential, and he had better confidence, and he started to perceive her differently. Another factor that we look at within the organizational behavior textbook is a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that occurs when Mina believes that she is shy and she has all these anxieties, and that belief causes her to act shy, reinforcing like the perception that others already have of her. Another perception concept is fundamental attribution error, Lee and Fior, in their article, Measuring Levels of Fundamental Attribution Error Ascribed to Leadership of the Entrepreneurial Organizations Across National Cultures, explains that fundamental attribution error, or FAE, or FAE, whatever you want to call it for short, is committed when someone overestimates internal factors and traits and then underestimate the external factors. They credit the internal features more than they do the external ones. Lee and Fior explored FAE within organizations and discovered that it is often committed when considering a leader's success or their failure. And in Sing, this is seen when Buster is judged using fundamental attribution error when the theater collapsed. They considered this disaster a result of Buster's personality and his features and traits, rather than considering the external factors and pressures that he was under, the financial pressures on the theater, the unforeseen setbacks they went through, and the error was committed because those weren't factored into their perception of events. Lee and Fior also discovered that the amount of fundamental attribution errors committed can be influenced by cultural differences, and this is a big key part of the movie Sing. There's lots of differences between everybody, right? Oh, what kind of differences do you think?
Singing differences, because it's about a movie of people fighting over who's going to win the money.
Yeah, so there's definitely a diversity of skill. What else is different about them? Maybe about what kind of animals they are, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, you think that different animals have different qualifying features? Yeah, and I think that those animals think that too. And that kind of ties into the point here. The animals all have kind of certain set in stone perceptions of what each other's cultures are supposedly like. And this is seen in Sing when they perceive Johnny's tardiness as a result of him being irresponsible or reckless, and they don't, like, those are his internal traits that they're trying to, like, credit him with because of their perception of his culture. And they don't consider the external pressure that he receives from his family to be at a certain place, be a certain thing, and even like the time constraints on his schedule, specifically on the tardiness. And they just don't consider that because it's a cultural difference, and they don't actually understand. They don't understand that from their culture because it's different, and their assumptions of his culture aren't accurate. So that causes, just they don't make the correct assumptions because they are using that fundamental attribution error. The Lee and Fior also conclude that evaluations done with the fundamental attribution error are often unfair and biased, like I was just pointing out with Johnny. Do you think that people see Johnny fairly? Do you think they see him like his family?
A little and not. Not and yes and maybe. Because Johnny kind of raps and everyone just makes a song.
Yeah. Do you think that, I think that Johnny's a nicer guy than most people think. But I think that a lot of people think he's not a very nice guy just because he's a gorilla and how his family is. You think that that's true?
No.
No? You don't agree that he's a bad guy?
I don't agree he's a bad guy. I think he's a nicer person than everyone actually thinks.
Yeah. And do you think, why do people think that he's not a nice guy?
Because he's a gorilla. Most gorillas are known for killing people.
Killing people? Maybe not that, but more like crime, yeah. the robberies. Yeah. And to kind of bounce off that's a pretty unfair thing to think about somebody if you don't know them or what they're going through. And seeing less fundamental attribution errors could have been made or committed had Buster recognized the misjudgments that were occurring and took a little bit more initiative to promote better awareness of the perceptual biases. And I think that could have smoothed out some of the points of contention.